Hello, everyone. Today we're speaking about communism and why communism never worked. And I mean, this is statistics. It's historically proven that communism never worked. It always ends up in big drama and big mayhem. But we're going to explain why. And since it's a big loss like that, why do we still have politicians who are calling for communist ideas? So, first, my name is Karim Abdullah. I'm an Egyptian journalist living in the United States. I have a Fulbright Fellowship in broadcast journalism, and my goal from this project is to simplify political concepts and explain it in a simple way so people understand it and ultimately have more people contribute to the political uh, movement in a way. So, let's start first by historically a small explanation about the difference between socialism and communism. They are very simple and very similar, but there is a major difference. Communism is the ownership of everything, the people who work in a factory, for instance, the ownership of this factory does not belong to one person, it belongs to the whole community of the people who work there. Socialism, on the other hand, it's very close, but it means that no one owns anything, but everything belongs to the country. Yet both of them have the similarity of everyone in the country works as an employee. Either you work as an employee for the common ownership or you work as an employee for the government. And of course, the basic and the core value of them is that everyone should have the same exact equal life, the same income, the same lifestyle, the same exact food. Everything is equality. That's the major concept. Now, before we go deeper into this concept, in life, in nature, there is usually balance between two things. It's not one part is taking over the other. You have yin and yang, you have heat and cold, you have ice and fire. There's always two parts that they are like wrestling with each other, and the fact that they are fighting is what creates, it's what pushes the words forward. In general, competition creates development. So this is a major concept we have to agree on, is that no one side can take over. We cannot have a full year of winter. It has to be winter, then spring and summer and autumn. There has to be changes. This changes is what makes everything grow. And the father of communism is Karl Marx. It has been created, the many people spoke about it, but the person who created the major concept of communism is a Russian guy called Karl Marx. And so far, the Arabic we call it the Marxisiyya, which is, I think, the Marxian ideology is named after him. The concept of Karl Marx, the creator of communism, is totally against this human nature. His ideology is that the working class should take over, should crush the upper class and the aristocratic class. Simply, he divided the social standard in three major tiers. The proletarians, which are the working class, the people who work in factories, usually have to go to work in order to survive. Then above them are the bourgeois. The bourgeois is the people who own the factories. These people make more money and they don't work as much. And then above all of them are the aristocrats, which is the very upper class. The Karl Marx ideology, the basic of communism is that the proletarians, the working class, should crush the upper classes and take over completely and create a common good, or like an identity that they share the value, they share the ownership of whatever they are working in. Which, again, back to the first concept, it defies the concept, the human nature. Now you don't have opposing two ends to balance or fighting each other. You just have one part that's taking over the other. So it's against nature completely. And what happened historically when they did that, when in Russia they killed the bourgeois and the aristocrats, and then the proletarians took over, surprisingly, is that the proletarian, the working class, started forming, they became a bourgeois of themselves. From these working class, suddenly you will find people who will take over and grab the power and say that I'm higher than you, I'm the leader, I'm whatever, and they start forming the bourgeois class again. One more time, I would like to stress that it's against human nature. That's why even if you take it out, it will just pop up back again. Away from the human nature, it's actually against the a way that it's against nature in general. It's against the human nature. Me as a person, and you as a person, that doesn't work with the human or even animals. Everyone, we are territorial creatures. I want to be richer than you are. I want to have more money than you. You want to have a better car than me. That's part of the human instinct. And actually, competition is a big driver and a big factor in human behaviors. So when this happened, everyone turned into becoming an employee and no one owns anything, which by the end of the day, people would say is like, basically, if I work or not, I will eat the same, I will live in the same house, I'll have the same car. So, screw it. Why do I have to work? Everyone is getting the same results no matter. Everyone is getting the same outcome, the same health insurance, whatever. So why would I care? So this affects, of course, the economy, and this affects the production. This affects the value of the currency. And now the other problem that arises with communism is that now everyone has the same assets, equal assets in the factory that we're working in. So how come now I'm not working? How can you fire me? I own as much shares as you do in this factory, but I don't want to work. Then this creates a loophole of endless bureaucracy rules that, they have to create rules to manage this relationship, since there's no manager, there's no owner of the factory. No one can fire anyone. We all share the same value. So they had to create this endless rules of bureaucracy, and this, along with the low production, collapses. The whole country collapses and the whole economy collapses because of this ideology. Now, when this happens, see it in a simple way. You were working a basic job before communism. You were working a decent job. You're having like a little bit above minimum wage or maybe more. You have enough money to buy whatever products you want, and you can afford to have your own health insurance or food and buy the car you like. Now comes communism and said everyone should be equal. You will just have your basic income, but your health insurance, your food, your car, your housing is something that we will substitute, we will provide. So we assure that everyone is equal. Now, after, as what I said earlier, there's no productivity, everything is falling apart, everyone stops producing when they became employees. Now, the government that promised you will give you adequate health insurance and give you housing and substitute everything for you does not even have the money to substitute that for you. And you do not produce anymore. You do not get even enough money for you to buy anything you want. So it becomes a loophole of failure. And usually it ends up by the people revolting against the leaders, the regimes of this communist regime. Now, historically, what happens is that, of course, these regimes have to resort to violence in order to survive. And then we see jailing, we see oppression, we see killings. And I'll give you some examples of that. We've seen Stalin, a dictator like Stalin, he killed 5 million farmers, and he claimed that this is for the best interest of farmers. We have the East Germany, Erich Honecker, the leader of the East Germany party, was kicked out. We have the workers in Poland who actually fought for communism to come. It was coming for them. They revolted against communism and kicked it out after they were in bad depression. We have the Hungarian Communist Party disavowing the communism. It's the Hungarian Communist Party disavowed the communist part of them, which is the core of their existence in the beginning. And Zhivkov, the Bulgarian president, is kicked off, and many others. We've seen presidents being killed on national televisions, and so much violences because of that. So historically, communism never worked. Historically, it never did. So the question is, since it doesn't work, it never works, why do we still hear some communist ideology from politicians? We still have politicians who, dance on the tune of communism. The answer is two things. One, it's the concept, which is a lie. Unfortunately, politicians are lying when they're using that concept. The concept is very intoxicating. When politicians come and say, I'm going to give you free education, free health service, free insurance, free food stamps. Of course, if someone comes and tells me I'm going to give you free, free cell phone every year, I would take it. Who would say no to that? The reality is there's nothing free, and this is a big lie. If the person who's treating you, the doctor who's treating you, needs to be paid. Who's paying for that? It's actually you, through insurance or through taxes. Indirectly, the teacher who's teaching your kids in school is not doing it for free, he's getting paid. So the concept of free is a big lie. and again going into having much more extensive taxes in order to substitute and pay for that. This will have two major bad impacts. One is that it will push people into more laziness and abuse, because if I work or not, I'm not going to get anything. If I work or not, I'm going to get like some benefits for not working. And the other thing is it pushes the production level down, it pushes the economy down. So that's one thing. And the other thing, and the other reason that communism is still existing, is that this effect of failure doesn't happen instantly. It's not that you will adapt communism and tomorrow everything will fall apart. It usually takes a long couple of years, tens of years sometimes. And usually when you start adapting it, there's a up phase of euphoria, and then the curve drops down and you can never switch it back unless like there's big dramatic bloody revolutions usually happen. So in the first couple of years it's very nice and euphoric, and then everything collapses, everything falls apart, and everyone actually tends to abuse the communist values. So that's why these are the two main reasons that we still hear about communism, and we still understand, like there's still politicians who dance around these tunes. Now, the most important thing, I'm not saying that extreme capitalism is the right thing. Capitalism has been proven historically to be the right economical system, because with capitalism, this is what pushes the economy. This is what makes more people produce more and have more. It just pushes the economy forward. Now, capitalism has to be minorly regulated. You have to make sure this is the role of the government. The government has to make sure that you're working in a clean, healthy environment, that you're having the fair wages, that you're having a career path, that you can grow within this company if you desire. If you work hard, you're getting more time. If you're working overtime, you're getting paid more. So the government has to regulate that this capitalism is fair. And there are certain ways for people who cannot produce, for some reason they are having pre-existing conditions, they are having health problems, or born with some misgivings, then the government has to substitute that for them because they cannot produce. But anyone who is healthy and can produce more, they have to be producing more, and that's how the economy keeps pushing. And actually, this is the current situation now in the United States. That's why the United States is the strongest economy in the whole world. That's why the United States is the leader of the whole world. But be careful with that, because people usually, after a while, they get comfortable in their position and they start feeling like they need to adapt something else. I'm doing well, so might as well just adapt some new ideology to, out of change. And they start adapting ideology that doesn't really work, and then things starts falling apart. So be careful. The reason the United States is as strong as it is and was always as strong is because of capitalism, and it's moderate capitalism. It's regulated. There are factors that make sure that the people who work in the factory are fairly paid. The people who cannot afford things will be able to get it substituted. But in the same time, there are chances for people to grow. If you want to work hard, you can get more money and get paid more. And there's career paths. You're not being discriminated based on your race, ethnicity, or these are the goals that you have to fight for. And these are the things that will keep economy growing. Trying to adapt other things and changing the direction and trying to adapt communism, trust me, read history first. Communism never worked, never will work. Thank you again. My name is Karim Abdullah. If you have any questions, please write it down, and I'm more than happy to answer them. And if you have any ideas of things or any concepts that you want me to explain, I'm more than happy to explain it. Please write it down. Again, thank you, and see you in the next video.